All right. Welcome to the Overachieving Shit Show podcast. I am Dr. Kate Rodriguez, and I am so excited today to have a very special guest, but I feel that it needs a disclaimer. Not only is this not a real therapy service, even though I am a therapist, I'm not y'all's therapist or her therapist, although that would be a really fun job. If you get offended easy, you should just get off now. We both have mouths on us, and I don't know what is going to come out, but I am very excited to have my dear friend Lisa Greenberg today.
Hi, I'm very happy to be here.
Lisa is a criminal defense attorney who believed that I had skills that I didn't even know I had, even though you had barely met me. You worked with my dad for a little bit on a couple cases. Lord help you. I can't imagine that experience. One of my biggest reasons for having you on my list of one of the first people I wanted was because I know you've burnt out. I know you've got yourself back up. You have raised kids. You have done all kinds of different things professionally, personally, but also you still manage to stay funny and to lift up other women. And I think that that's so important, and that's what this is all about. So,
Thank you. That's like the biggest compliment, honestly. Well, the funny, because I know I'm funny, and if the other person doesn't laugh, obviously it's them, it's
what's
not
wrong
me.
with them?
Yeah. But I think it's super important, especially in my career, and maybe you feel like this in yours, but as a criminal defense lawyer, there wasn't a lot of me's. There wasn't a lot of female criminal defense lawyers, and I didn't really have anybody to look up to. And then now with other female criminal defense lawyers, I feel like it's really important to be there for each other. And then as moms, all the things.
Absolutely. We're just going to dive in. Is that cool?
Okay.
Because
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
because I remember the first time I was at the courthouse and heard somebody refer to you as the Barbie lawyer. And I was pissed. It pissed me the fuck off because you're a badass and you're known as being a badass criminal defense attorney in town. And yet people were still just talking about how beautiful you are. And like, that's great. You are beautiful. But the context was we're talking about murder trial. And they're just like, oh, who's the Barbie attorney? And I just want to ask what that does when you constantly get stereotyped. Oh, she's just a pretty face.
I think for me, there's a battle often as a female where you want to be taken seriously, especially like as a lawyer. When I first started as a lawyer, or even when I was in law school, I was talking about this with some young lawyers the other day, some young female lawyers. I was saying when I went to law school, they said, "Don't be too pretty, don't be too ugly. Wear your hair up. Wear little earrings. Don't wear hoops. Don't wear too much makeup. Don't wear color on your nails. Wear a gray or a black suit. Put your hair in a ponytail. Don't be too emotional. Don't be too cold. Don't be too angry. Don't be too this. Don't be too that." And the battle was to be taken seriously as a mouthpiece. So our job is to be the mouthpiece for our client, especially in criminal defense. I feel like I was discounted kind of early on. I think it got to me at first, to be really honest. I think it got to me where I wasn't effective. I wasn't as effective as I wanted to be because I was self conscious. And there came a point in time where, if I'm just going to be really honest, especially as a criminal defense lawyer, I was court appointed. And so every single day I saw my client get screwed. Like, my client was just like effed, like from the get go. Like, they were poor, they were in jail, they had never been listened to. Most times they were mentally ill. I was battling the DA, judges, probation, and I just was angry. This person is screwed. And something happened where I just didn't care anymore. And I was just like, excuse my language, but fuck it. I'm angry. This is who I am. This is not okay.
I'm
And
pissed
when
off,
I,
and this system sucks, and I want to do something.
yeah, and when I got angry, I became effective. And I'm not saying anger was the way, but I was real. For the first time, I was real. This is not okay. And I felt it. And so instead of not being emotional, I was probably really emotional. I was probably sweaty and, upset. And the first time I feel the jury felt me and they knew I was being honest. And so that rawness made me a better lawyer. But it wasn't until I gave all that up and just said, fuck it, this is who I am. I don't care what you think about how I look. I don't care if you think I'm too emotional. Because it overwhelmed me. I couldn't be fake anymore, you know?
Yeah. And it's hard because I'm sure you had to struggle with who you truly are, who everybody wants you to be, who you're trying to be. It's so many different roles and it's just infuriating. It's hard.
I used to care to be pleasing. I did. It's just funny. It's probably surprising, but I think we all want to be a good girl. We all want to be kind of patted on the head by the judge. Good job. And not too offensive to the DA's office or the DA. And it's hard as a female to give that up. And I was pleasing, or I attempted to be pleasing for a long time. But when you care about something so much, when you weigh things, it weighs way more to do what you're meant to. When somebody hands you their life and says, here's my life, protect me, that kind of weighed heavier on me than being pleasing. And I think that's when I became effective. Now, it doesn't mean I was necessarily liked, and you know that too. So I stopped caring about being liked. And that was hard, actually.
I was
Uh,
actually going to ask you about that.
I think we all want to be liked. It's hard when you know people call you names or you're difficult. If you give a shit, right? You're difficult. If you don't just roll over. Um, I don't know if it's a female thing. I mean, that's probably more, you probably know more than me, but I think we're told not to be difficult. And my job is to stop the assembly line from sending somebody to prison. I have to stop it. I have to be difficult. I have to fight back. And so there was always a rub. And I would hear people talk about me, and I'm not going to lie that there weren't times that it bothered me. I wanted to.
Let's call him out. Who was it? I'm just kidding.
Oh, the list is so long now, but I think I finally stopped caring because when the list gets so long that you're stapling pages of people talking about you, you're just like, just put it on my tab.
No, for sure. I was going to ask you about that because you represent murder, assault. You represent the criminal. You represent what people have already labeled as the bad guys. And in the first case I ever had with you, I gotta admire when people throw me the biggest, hardest thing, and then they're like, "Let's see what she does. It's her first time. Let's see."
Just
Um,
capital murder. Come
yeah,
on, just capital murder.
yeah. And
Easy.
I remember you called me and you said, "Can you be a mitigation specialist?" I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm down. What does it mean? And you said, well, you need to go in and get his whole life story to present it to the DA or to the jury, whichever way it goes, so they can understand what led up to this capital murder. And I was like, okay, but why me? And you were like, well, honestly, you're our last hope. He didn't want to talk to anybody else. You had even sent in one of your friend psychologists in there. He doesn't want to talk to anybody, and you're short and you're pregnant as hell. Who doesn't want to talk to a little pregnant chick? So go for it.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that is hard to put into words. There's no science to this, but I find in my life that I feel people, if they care. If a lawyer cares, then they're 90% better than all the other lawyers out there.
Absolutely.
If a therapist cares, if they genuinely care, if they care about human beings and walk in with no judgment, if they're open to the human, then I feel you. I trust you. I especially in criminal defense. We can't trust a lot of people because there are criminal defense lawyers that say, I'm not going to take cases that involve children. I'm not going to take cases that involve this or that. And they're judging them before they ever get them. And it's our job to say you're innocent until proven guilty. I'm not going to judge you. And when I met you, and I don't know if it's the nature of the way you grew up or who you just innately are, which is probably a combination of all the things, you didn't have that, and you had the ability to go in open, and we thought that would open up to you, and we were right.
Yeah. I really appreciate that experience because I had no idea what was happening or what I was supposed to do or anything. And you just kind of were like, well, you're our Hail Mary, so here we go. So I waddled my happy ass into that jail every day for a few weeks. But I remember going down the elevator when it was over, and there was a lady who I knew since I was a kid, and I said, "Hi, how are you doing?" She goes, "Well, good, because I'm on the right side." And she was advocate for the victims, and I just remember being like, "Oh, that kind of hurt." Like, because I didn't see it as I'm on a good side or the bad side or the winning side or the losing side or anything like that. For me, my job was just to tell the story of this person before the crime. I know that I've been able to swallow it now, that sometimes I do that and sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they might use something I said against them, and I'm like, I'm going in to just do my job. And I found it to be so rewarding as a counselor because he was a victim, and all of them that I've met have been victims when y'all call me in to do that. And it helps me remember why I do what I do day in and day out with the victims, because if we can help them, if they can get help or be seen at a certain time in their life, then maybe it won't end up this way. And so,
Yeah. And
yeah.
sometimes we see a monster. A lot of people think the people we represent are monsters. It's very easy to dehumanize somebody and say, we call them the defendant when they're accused, right? The defendant, we take away their name, or we take away their story. But when we hear somebody's story, it's a lot easier to see the human. And I don't know if you're like this, but you'd think I would watch things that were not, they're not even like criminal law things. Like my favorite shows on TV are the shows where people are not black or white, bad or good. Like good writing is like we're all complicated. So have you ever watched the show The Bear?
Yes.
Okay, so those characters, I always try to tell people Richie. Is that his name? Richie Cousin, Richie.
The
I
one that
love him
took
because
us.
yeah, the one like you want him to redeem himself. You want each of those characters, like Tina, she starts off so ugly, she doesn't like change, and then you see who she really is as a person, and then you love her. That's what I think our job is in a lot of ways, to see somebody that everybody's judged and then understand why they're the way they are. I think we are just showing all the kind of nuances of a person and why they are the way they are. And when people hear that or see that, it changes them and they can maybe understand more. And you get in there and get the story, because it's my job to always remind people you're not your worst day. You are not your worst day. And even if the crime occurs on that worst day, we need to understand why. And we need to go back and understand why they made the choices they did. Well, maybe I wouldn't make that choice, but maybe I didn't grow up like that. Maybe I didn't see that kind of violence. And so you getting that story, you're just humanizing them. And people think lawyers are so smart. I don't. But I mean, it's not because I am one,
Up
but
around them, so.
same. I think we lose our humanity going to law school. We become these robots and we can quote law. And, I was not an A. I know that's probably surprising. I was not an A plus student. But I
You
think the
thought
real lawyers,
you thought you were gonna get on SNL, right?
yeah, I didn't even want to be a lawyer. But think about your dad. The reason he was so good is because number one, he was brave and he saw the person and he fought for the person. And that has nothing to do with books to me. You can be the lawyer that stands up and quotes case law, or you can be the person that sees the heart and feels it. And that's not teachable. And I think we need a team of people to see the person. And so that's what I think you were. You were a tool.
But I think it was great that you see it like that and you know how to assemble the kind of team to do that. I don't remember the case, but I remember watching you in court where you were, I think it was you, Bianca Medina. I'm the bad mom. I'm the mean mom. She's the nice mom. She's a comforting mom. And this is how we're going to do it to tell the story. And it was so brilliant. I think that was also the same case where you took a recess to go back to the office for deodorant.
Yeah. That's, you know, how many times I've been in court where I'm like, because I point and I feel with my body, like I feel with my face and my body, and I've swung my arms around and I've been like, whew. And I realize, oh no, no, no. And then my client will be like, yeah, I think you forgot deodorant. And they'll be like in jail being like, oh man, you stink. I'm like, I'm sorry. That
Well,
happens a lot.
what is one of the funniest court moments you've ever had?
So there was a time where we were picking a jury, and it was Terry Shamsi and me. And at the end of picking the jury, the judge will always say, if you have something you want to talk about privately, come up and talk to us. And this one lady came up to him. She looked a little odd. And I believe our case was an assault. And the lady came up, she pointed at my client and she said, I know you did it. I saw you murder him with the fork. And we realized she was crazy. I saw you murder him with the fork because our case was not murder. It didn't.
There was no fork.
So when I realized she was crazy in this tense moment, because we were like, what is she talking about? Like, and I just started laughing. And I started laughing so hard I had to get under the table. And Shamsi was just like kicking me, and I couldn't I couldn't get control of myself. We were just so scared. What does she know him from? What is she saying? And then we realized she was crazy. And then she wouldn't stop talking. And I laughed so hard. And then Terry Shamsi went and ordered the transcript of it. So we have a transcript of that to this day.
He probably framed it.
Yeah, that was a good moment. And then um, I have one more.
Yeah.
We were in a murder trial, four defendants, and the counsel. So the defendants had these four lawyers: me, Terry Shamsi, Mark Gonzalez, and Scott Ellison. And these four boys were charged with murder.
That,
And
that's a team if I've ever heard
yeah,
of.
we weren't together. We were all court appointed, but it was a crazy case. And anyhow, Terry Shamsi's client was testifying, and he wasn't the smartest. So Terry told him, "You need to be here at noon. You need to be here at noon on the dot." Well, he didn't know what noon was, so he didn't. Terry had to sound like 12. Anyhow, he was testifying that the guy that was shot was threatening and was on drugs. So the prosecutor put him on the stand, and we're all waiting there because we all have our clients on trial too. And he says, what did he look like? And Terry's client says, he looked like he was on drugs. And then the prosecutor says, look at this jury and explain to them what he looked like. So he turns to the jury and he goes, he looked like he was on drugs. And he's like, no, no, I need to explain what that looked like he was on drugs. And we're just like, oh, and these moments are so tense. And the jury's listening. And then, of course, I'm kind of immature. They're just so tense. I just start laughing and have to run out again and leave my client. But
I can't imagine because it's so hard being on the witness stand. I remember my first couple of times, it was so nerve wracking to just be under so much pressure and all these people looking at you. It can be so scary. Like the last times I had to testify was in federal court.
mm,
And that's scary. It's so scary in there. It's so formal. I was sitting there and I thought I looked very professional. I thought I was doing an okay job. And then when the attorneys had to approach the bench, there's like a surround sound of a noise machine that comes from everywhere. And I never heard that before. So I jumped and the whole jury started laughing at me.
I didn't know that either. I had no
Yeah.
idea they did that.
Yeah, they were like attorney post approach the bench. And I'm just like la la la, like okay, I'm not supposed to listen, so I'm not trying to listen. And then it was like shh, like really loud, and I jumped and I started laughing, and I was like, oh my god. And I can't. It's hard when you can't like leave.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm thinking it's probably endearing. I think people like to see people being human.
I mean, I know we do. I don't know if other people.
Yeah, I think it makes me feel more comfortable, you know?
Yeah. And I was also going to touch on how dark humor gets gets us through things. I don't know about you. We've actually never talked about this, but I feel that a lot of people can misunderstand our types of personalities because we joke, we make fun of each other, we have thick skin. I don't know if it's because of the work we're in or if the thick skin led us to the work we're in. I will never forget one time I was in a really ugly custody situation and I was supposed to testify. And this attorney was like, I am going to tear you up on the stand. I've looked through your website. I found every mistake and I'm going to get you. And are you scared? Are you scared? And he was trying to intimidate me. He was like kind of joking, but then also, I know you're scared because he's like one of the big family law attorneys in town. And I think this was the second time I was pregnant. And I'm real pregnant at this time in the courthouse. And then it got pushed back. So I'm in the elevator and he's like, oh, I'm going to get you next time. Don't be scared. And I'm just going down in the elevator. And I was like, sir, I promise I'm not scared of you. I'm ready. The elevator opens and you're there. And you looked at me and you go, hey, have you started pissing on yourself yet?
Oh,
You were like, I remember when I was at that point, I swear I was peeing on myself all the time. Like every time I sneezed, I coughed, I laughed. And you just start like going into me about like, I bet you smell like pee right now, don't you? And I looked at the attorney and I was like, this is how my friends talk to me. Like, imagine, you think I'm scared of you?
yeah. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me.
But I think, do you ever feel like people misjudge you because of the dark humor?
Yeah, sometimes I have to remind myself not everybody does what we do, and the jokes I make are terrible. But I mean, when you deal in child sex cases and murder and violent crimes, and you have to have some levity. Like you cannot. I. I mean, we make terrible jokes in my office. Terrible. Um, and just like to be able to digest what we read, and also like it helps us to get through. It's a way we bond because we're reading terrible stuff, and it just makes it a little more tolerable. It bonds us together because we are the people that deal with just the most horrible things, right? We read the most horrible things all day long, and I think if you can't laugh, I don't know how you would deal with it. And so I hope nobody ever comes in and hears our jokes. I mean, like, they're terrible. They're pretty terrible.
And if
And
you're with other people who also understand it, I think sometimes trying to make new friends, and it's like, how do I test the waters?
yeah, 100%. Because I mean, I can tell my son just had his he's a freshman and he had his um mom fraternity mom brunch, right? And so I went, and a fraternity mom brunch means you wear big poofy dresses that are pastel colors and all the things. And um, I know that my poor son is like, please don't talk. But of course, like they say, what do you do? And I say, I'm a lawyer. And they say, what kind of lawyer? And I say, criminal defense. There's definitely a little bit of a reaction. And so right away, I have this automatic sort of filter. If you're going to do your whole spiel about how do you defend those people, we're probably not going to be real close, you know? So immediately, I already have that filter. I imagine prosecutors and police officers and people in family law kind of do this as well. I don't know, but I mean, you probably grew up with it.
So I thought that was normal. I thought you're supposed to just rip each other up when you
Oh,
make a mistake. I thought embarrassing each other and joking and laughing about it was normal. So when I meet people who are like, when you said this, it really hurt my feelings. I'm like, the fuck? Like that wasn't even that wasn't even me on. Like that was me holding back. And so sometimes It can be really hard. There's been times where my husband will be like, "Hey, that group, I don't know if they don't like you or what's going on, but they seem weird around you." And I was like, "How do you know it's not you? You're just as dark as I am." And he's just like, "No, you were you saying one of your dark things? Were you talking about work and laughing?"
Yeah, yeah. But I think it's the way I grew up too. I mean,
I
you could
appreciate
not be precious in my house. You could not be, and I think I was sensitive. I was, but I don't know. I had a lot of feelings, but all the time my dad would be like, "Get over it. Go run a lap. Go run a lap." So,
the first time I ever testified, my parents and my husband all went and sat behind the attorneys like it was a damn recital. Afterwards, they were just like, "You sounded dumb when you said this. Why'd you say this? What's wrong with you? Are you perjuring yourself? What the fuck's wrong?" Like it was just one after another. I was like, "Did I at least look pretty? Can you tell me something nice?"
oh man, that's sweet. They showed up, even though they were mean about it.
I mean, my mom was nice, of course. So, speaking of the dark humor and not always fitting in, I have to talk about being a mom. Now you're an empty nester. Is that crazy?
I was just telling somebody about this. I've never been like the perfect PTA mom. I didn't make my children muffins before school, and I loved my kids, but I was kind of a mess, and we were all just doing the best we could. And many days I would drop them off and be screaming bloody murder at them, and then I'd be like, "Don't talk to the counselor. I love you." It's like, "Get the and just craziness. We bumbled our way through. And so I became a mom at like 27, I think. And what's funny is like that's kind of an average age. I don't know what age people become moms, but I definitely didn't feel ready, right? Just did not. And now they're both gone. My daughter is a sophomore at UT and my son is a freshman. And so they've been gone just this year. And I am a wreck, which I want to adopt all the animals I see and all the children I see because I need something to mess up, I guess. No.
You did tell me that when I was pregnant, you said, just remember, fuck them up enough so they're funny.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like, I'm so glad my kids they're funny. And I'm impressed sometimes. Like, I was pretty good because I don't want my kids to be assholes. That was kind of the goal. Just don't be an asshole. You started off, be happy and then it was just like, don't be an asshole. But,
Or boring.
or boring. But they're both gone. And this year, I don't know if you ever felt like this, but for me, in the beginning, it was survival. It was like bottle, nap, nap. And I remember all the books and all the things like, Haley has to have tummy time for 5 minutes or they're not going to be normal oh shit, I give them Teddy Grahams and those are not organic and they're so screwed. All the time I was like full anxiety, panicked. And so it was always like the next thing. Like I need to get through the next thing and I need to make sure they get through this. And then they graduated and they went to college. So first the first one went and then I saw Zach, he's 18 now, but he was 17 at the time. And it was just surviving that and then getting him to school. And then for the first time in a very long time, I didn't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to grocery shop because I was grocery shopping for these people forever. Like, I would make these dinners and I would sit there going, Zach doesn't like it when I make teriyaki bowls. Grace likes it and I was cooking for myself and I'm like, I don't even really know what I like to eat. And every vacation was like Universal, and then it was Disneyland, and then it was Legoland, and then it was college tours, and Grace wants to hike. And then last year, my friends said to me, "Do you want to go to Mexico?" And I was like, "We don't go to Mexico." And then I was like, "Oh, wait, I can go to Mexico." So that was the first time I realized that I'm kind of going through a transition. It's not easy. I miss them. They don't text me back. They don't like I bother them. And I can see my kid's location, which is a terrible thing. Like my son, he's
Yeah.
like a young. I'm like, that's not Zach Storm. Like, why is just like all
It's a
these things.
dorm, but it's not his.
And so I have no control. Um,
I
it's an
bet
identity crisis a little bit for me. I don't think that I was ready, and I feel like, man, I should have had one more just to so I didn't have to go through all this at one, like just that extra, like, oops, baby, or something. So
the back to back. Yeah. And it's funny.
yeah,
But was it hard with the kids growing up and not fitting into to these mom groups? Because fitting into mom groups is tough, and I feel like you
it's like
normalize it for
dating.
me.
It is like dating. It is. I hated mom groups. I needed them. My mom friends kept me sane when I would find them, and they're precious commodities. The real friends, or somebody that you can really confide in. My kid is going through this, and you don't feel judged, and they can help you. But that is so rare. At least it was for me. I had those groups. I imagine you probably do too. I fit in groups. I looked the part. I was at the JCCs. I was in these groups where I was like,
I'm like, right, I'm behind you.
and it was like, are you going to the charity league luncheon? Are you doing this? Surely you're doing this. Surely you have your kid in tutoring so that they test into this. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't know any of these things. So I had those groups, and they made me feel super insecure and less than. And you kind of needed them to be like, holy shit, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong here? I didn't know I had to do this, and I didn't know I had to do this. But I never really identified with some of those groups. There were a few moms I'd pick up along the way, a couple moms at Windsor Park, and our kids used to get these white envelopes on Monday that would just say all the things you had to do and sign up for, and make sure you do this. Are you doing the book fair? Are you doing this many things? And you need to donate. And I would just get so overwhelmed with those packets. And I remember looking over, and there was like another mom. She looked like she wanted to cry with the packets. And we were both like, I hate fucking white envelope Monday. Like, I can't. Just those couple that you could look at and be, we talk smack about some of the other moms. There was one mom in particular. I remember my son in first or second grade. We went to meet the teacher, and she was like, my daughter read all the books already for this year, and my daughter has this bucket list where she wants to travel to Paris this year because of this book. And my daughter, we were like, we just hope Zach doesn't bite anybody or piss his pants. Like, I don't have this, and I'm getting this kid to read a book. Are you kidding me? So you would have those other moms that you would make eyes, and they made you stay sane. But I struggled with mom groups. I never fit in. I worked, and I was the lady that defended those people. Occasionally I'd show up on TV, and my kids' PTA assembly, they were selling yearbooks, which now I think about, I'm like, why the hell do you need a yearbook in elementary? Why am I buying a yearbook in elementary? But regardless, some lady was selling yearbooks, and my kids wanted the yearbook. They weren't even in sixth grade either. They're in second and third grade or something. Maybe it is important, but I remember just buying it because everybody else was buying it. And I was in line, and the PTA mom, who's actually, her husband is a lawyer, she said, I saw you on TV. You defend those people?
Ooh.
Those people accused. It was a child abuse case. And I had just gotten out of trial on it. And I really loved my client. And I kind of went off. Those people? Who do you mean? Those people? And then my kid was super embarrassed. And so I definitely was not the PTA president by any means.
I was telling one of the extra moms. I said, I'm sorry, but I'm a Venmo mom. I will Venmo you so you can do those awesome crafts that you do, but I just don't have time or the mental capacity at this point, to care about making the sign pretty. For the STAR test, did they do that back then for you? Where the parents have a project to make a sign, cheer them on during the STAR test?
Stop. You have
I
to cheer them on during the STAR
Yeah,
test?
no, like you make a poster for them that they put in the hallway super cute idea. It's great, but my husband's like, now we have projects too. Like, what the? I thought we were.
Nobody cheered us on during our
Well, so
test.
I was like, I was like, I got this. I got this. So I get out my paints, I get out stickers, and I I even printed out a picture of my son, and then like I get there and I see all these other posters that are like professionally printed. Like they're like legit pictures like you would see at sporting events. And I was like, God, I hope my son's not embarrassed.
I mean, look at like the promposals. It is a lot to compete with. It is a lot to
It
live
is.
up to.
It is
Good.
tough. But I thank moms like you to like normalize because it helps. And hey, and because of you, I was able to potty train my kid at the time that I wanted to. I thought when you first told me your advice, I was like, I read the books. Like I have a PhD in counseling. I think I can potty train a kid. And then I got in it and and my husband gave up. All of us were just like, oh my God, he has to be potty trained by this time or he can't go to this program. And what are we going to do? And I was like, all right, well, Lisa said, grab my favorite drink. So I grabbed a bottle of wine, and you said, grab his favorite candy. So I grabbed some Sour Patch, and I locked myself in the bathroom, and I was like, oh, you want this candy? Poop in the potty. And it worked.
Should I write a parenting book? Like
You should
how
read.
to shame your child into, I don't know, bribe your kid. But I did all that because I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to do really well at mothering, and I read every book, and shit, half the books would fight. Their theories would contradict each other, and then all these moms would say this, all these moms would say that, and then at some point you're just like exhausted, and I remember just like shaming my kid into like, just, it's you and me. Like, we're getting in this bathroom, and when you're going to this bathroom, you are going to poop in that potty, or we're not coming out alive. So I know one day I'm going to hear about it.
Maybe they were
But,
too young to remember.
oh, I hope. Knock on wood.
I literally flushed his favorite candy down the toilet because I was like, well, you're not using it.
It worked, right?
It did. Okay, so Lisa, so the biggest point of being an overachieving shit show is to actually keep going when you feel burnt out. What are the things that you do to make sure that either when you're burnt out to get out of it or to prevent it? How do you keep going? Because your life is stressful. Your job is stressful.
So I have real answers. Like,
I don't want to hear
I
about
mean,
bubble baths and shit.
I work out almost every single morning, and it's not for vanity. Please. I probably have cirrhosis of the liver or something. But I do it, let me tell you why. Because my mind never stops. And it's not that I'm so smart. It's just like I'm worried. I'm worried about my cases. I'm worried about my children. I'm worried about the office and the things I have to take care of. And so we did make our garage a gym during COVID. But if I go to the gym or if I go for a walk, I am calmer. It's all going to be okay. So I swear by that. I pray. I actually pray every single morning. I read A Course in Miracles. This is hippy dippy. This is not religious, Lisa. Because I've never really identified with religion very much, but I had to find something for myself. So I get a cup of coffee every single morning. And if you mess with this routine, like, it's hell hath no fury. I will kill you. So I hated it, like when my kids would have something that would mess with this routine, or the dogs would shit on the floor and I couldn't start my routine. But I wake up, I get a cup of coffee, and I read my prayer book. And my prayer book is really hippy dippy. It's not a religion. It's about a loving God. It's really a loving God. And each day spirituality, and it makes me calm.
Love
And then
that.
I work out. And so for about an hour and a half, I'm really nice. It's funny, but then I'll get an email from a prosecutor and be like, this motherfucker right here. But I start my day off really peaceful. I try to.
That's a really good way to start the day for sure.
Yeah, I swear by it because my belief system is kind and loving, but I hold on to it as long as I can. Some days I make it to like 6:28, and then I'm like, okay, fuck it. I have to start again tomorrow. I have to open that, but I try really hard. And there are days that I don't make it or I cry. I've been in trial where I have to go hide in the bathroom and cry because it's so much. someone's life is in my hands. I fuck this up. I cannot handle it, and I will cry, or I go in my car a lot of times. So this is the opposite end, and I listen to like really heavy rap music. And this is like, I'll shoot this bitch in the face rap music. Um, and I also have an emergency pack of Marlboro Lights in my console. This is also a terrible. So there's the morning Lisa.
I like the real answers. I appreciate this.
Yeah, and I'll get in my car and I just sit there and I take the 5 minutes and I walk back in smelling like, you know, Motley Crue or some shit. I just smoked a Marlboro Light, and then I'm like, okay, let's try again. So there's the extremes. Yeah. If you ever need that emergency Marlboro, and it's ultralight, because I feel like that's healthier, like the emergency.
No, I appreciate those real ones because when people are like, "Oh, I go and I do deep breathing," and as a counselor, we teach people all those healthy coping skills, but we know that there's other ones, and it's okay. It's okay to not be right all the time. You can be politically incorrect. You can smell like smoke sometimes, whatever it may be. It's real because what you do, like the burnout rate with female attorneys is through the roof. Did you know that was actually one of the first times I ever spoke about burnout in professionals was to the female lawyers? I think it was in 2017, maybe. The female lawyers were one of the first ones that had asked me to speak on burnout because the rates, the substance abuse and the suicide ideation and the depression, it's so high. And I can't imagine, especially when I know you and I know the cases that you take are really hard, and I know sometimes you really believe in your client, and you have a lot of clients that are legitimately wrongfully accused, and you have a bad day, and like you said, it's their life in your hand. I can't imagine holding that kind of stress.
I mean, I'm not great at it. I think that one of the things that
At
makes
holding
me,
the stress because you're great at being a lawyer.
thank you. Well, yeah, because one of the things that I think makes me good, and I don't think that I'm good at many things, but I think one of the gifts that I've been given is that I care a lot. And if you hand me your life, we become family. And I love you, you love me. I love these people there. I'm not gonna say there aren't some clients that I'm like, oh no. Especially, I have a hard time sometimes with entitled clients. But most of the time, when you're raw and you're real and you open up to me, I can't help but love you. And so there's an extra dose of pressure because I love you, because you opened up to me and you trusted me. So it's a gift to be so invested and for somebody to open up to you. But it's a curse because then they depend on you and you're like, oh my, I cannot mess this up. So there's a lot of stress. I love it. I love my job. I love it. But I can tell you that it takes a toll on me. And so I try to just do those things I said.
How can you tell when you're starting to get to the point of like, oh, this stress is too much? Maybe I am starting to get burnt out, or maybe I need professional help.
No, there's been a few times, no lie. And it's funny because I got a rash in 2020. I got a rash all over my body when I was picking a jury. And I was scratching everywhere and I couldn't figure it out. And people would say, it's stress, it's stress. And people like me are like, fuck you, I'm always stressed. This is not new. And the doctors would say, it's stress, it's stress. And I couldn't tell stress between regular life and when I get really angry and anxious and stop caring. Like if I feel myself just being angry, it's time for me to remember why I do what I do. When I start to feel numb and just pissed off, and there's been a couple times I felt like that, but I think getting together with other people that feel that and being able to say it makes you feel better. And sometimes remembering why you do what you do, like, and it doesn't come to me like, I don't know, just seeing people sometimes like unexpectedly who really need help or really need somebody to listen, then you go, okay, this is why. I remember why I'm here. Because, like, I hate these 10 entitled rich clients, but you'll meet one that really needs you. And you'll go, okay, this is why you do what you do. Or another thing, seeing a young me. a young lawyer
Mm.
and wanting them to care. A young person who, wants to do what you do, who just graduated. Sometimes that's inspiring. Like maybe you show them your best side or show them why you do what you do so they can do it in a good way, maybe.
What kind of advice would you have to them? What kind of advice would you give young Lisa?
Oh, fuck.
Sorry, you walked right into that question.
I think I would have learned early on you don't get good pleasing people.
That's a good one.
When you really are who you are and you really feel the way you do and you show the jury how you feel about a case, it doesn't mean you're hysterical. It doesn't mean you're emotional. It means you care. They will. Because if you don't care, why should they? And I don't have to say the right words. I have to show them why it's wrong or why I care and make them feel. And that doesn't take real smarts. That takes being true, being honest. I don't think you can fake that. So feel what you feel and go show them.
I love that. It's actually been a theme from what I've been talking about lately is how if you're your authentic self, it's easier to combat burnout. When you fake who you are, it's so exhausting. When you're trying to please everyone, trying to be that good girl and get the little tap on the head, it's so tiring. But when you're just who you really are and just with the mouth and the humor and the whoever the fuck you feel like you are that day, it helps. It's almost a stress release to just be who you are, say what you want to say, fight for who you want to fight, and not worrying if people are calling you bad names.
It takes a lot. I spent a lot of years worrying about that, but you're more effective and you're more human when people see it. And just when you got scared when they put the noisemaker on and the jury laughed, I bet they really identified with you. They thought it was human and it broke all that bullshit down. I don't know how you teach people that.
Legitimately embarrassing.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you were human, and I feel like that's trustworthy, and people will react to you. And I wish I had learned that early on. It's okay to just be a mess. And you know what? How many times did I tell you I was a mess as a mom, and it made you feel less pressure, right? And I wish we could do that more with each other.
Yeah, I feel that it helped me to when I didn't fit in with the moms and I knew I didn't fit in with certain moms. I was okay with it. 'Cause there are other ones like me. It's just hard to find. It's hard to detect the one. And I have found one. And you know what I love? I love it when there are the extra moms, the ones who did do the fancy signs or whatever, and they're like, "Yeah, I did this because you know what? I fucked up all this other stuff." So I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna make a good sign." Or I used in another episode, I said how one woman who always has her makeup and hair done told me, "Well, this is the one thing I can control every day." And so I think that even the perfect PTA, voluntary moms, and all these different ones, we all still have our shit show behind. We just all have a different kind of way to deal with it. For me and you, ours is like up in people's faces advocating, and other people's are just different. And I think it's just really cool that we're all just so different and we can just be who we are and be okay with it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
Well, Lisa, we made it an hour. That was
I thought it
fun.
was really fun.
Well, thank you so much, and I can't wait to be walking down Tonkawa to go to go be like, what's going on over here? When my cases get too crazy, I'm just gonna walk over there and be like, help me. Well, awesome. Well, thank you.